guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video is a very exciting one because not only is this my first booktube video ever, this is also a video going over something that I'm going to be very intentional about in 2024, which is finishing series that I've previously started, getting further into these series so that way I can get into reading more newer series that I have not yet started. This is not the full list of all the series that I want to read because there are too many to count, but these are the ones that I will be prioritizing finishing soon and then starting soon as well. So let's get into it. Now, one of the main series that I will be reading this year is the Faithful and the Fallen series by Gwynne. If you follow along with me on Bookstagram, you know that I finished the first book in the series, Malice, recently, and that I just loved it. This was the first epic fantasy book that I've read physically, which I'm so proud of. This was like a huge undertaking because not only is this a long book, but it is also just so incredibly epic. I read on Reddit that there are about 70 characters in the first 10 chapters of this book, and I don't know if that's true, but it certainly feels like it. But the main plot of this book is following humanity after they have been exiled to this world, to this continent that is just filled with ruins after a war between humans and giants, I believe, and gods, and left behind was a prophecy that one of the kings, or that the High King starts to realize is becoming true. It's so hard to describe this book well and succinctly because it is so sincerely epic. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of sword fights and battles, and I didn't always completely follow why they were fighting who for what, but you just kind of let the vibes happen, and the vibes were great. The vibes were, there were swords a-clangin', which is the sort of fantasy that I love. I am very excited to get into Valor, which is the next book in the series, and I would have started it by now, but my Barnes & Noble didn't have a copy of it in stock, so they're ordering it, and as soon as they get it, I will be getting into that one very, very soon. Another series that I'll be finishing soon is the Magician's Trilogy. I read The Magicians late last spring, and I did really like it, but I just forgot to finish it. So The Magicians follows the main character Quentin, who in his senior year of high school learns that he is actually a magician, and he is recruited to join Brakebills, which is basically Hogwarts college for pretentious American students. So Quentin goes to Brakebills and he meets a whole cast of characters, learns magic, and all the while he's also very preoccupied about these books that he read as a kid that take place in this magical world called Fillory, and he is always talking about them, thinking about them, and drawing the parallels between this newly discovered magic world that he's in and these books that he read growing up. I've heard this book described as what if the main character in Secret History by Donna Tartt was actually a magician, and that is very much the vibe. It's very like academia, pretentious, Yale-y sort of thing. It's fun. It takes a lot of effort to read though, which is why I think it took me so long to get to the sequel, because it is a very smartly written series, which takes a lot of mental energy to read. But a third way through the second book of the trilogy, enjoying it a lot, and I would recommend this one. Another series I will be finishing soon is the Skyward series by Sanderson, with the final book, Defiant. I actually got this book right when it came out at the Dragonsteel convention last fall, which was all to celebrate the release of this book. And I would have read it sooner, but I'm waiting to get through all of the novellas that take place before this one, before I read it, so that way I can totally enjoy this conclusion to the series. So the Skyward series follows a very plucky young woman named Spensa, who all she wants is to be a fierce pilot to defend her people. She is just fascinated with these like epic warriors of human history as humanity is exiled and pushed underground because they are just constantly being bombed and attacked by these aliens called the Krell. So Spensa joins the Defiant Defense Force, which is basically like just imagine like Top Gun in space. So she starts training and going on missions and fighting the Krell, and falling in love, but she's tough. She's got a very tough exterior. It's just so fun. If you know anything about me, you know that I adore Brandon Sanderson. I love the Stormlight Archive, I love Mistborn, I love Warbreaker, I love Brandon Sanderson. I read Skyward like a year and a half ago, and I really, really liked it. And then about every book after Skyward has just kind of like been a bit of a decline, which is alright. But I've heard that Defiant is a very perfect ending to the series. It like brings it all back up. Another series that I don't know if I will finish this year, but I definitely will get further into it. I decided this only a couple days ago that I'm going to be taking this on as something to accomplish this year, which is reading more of The Lord of the Rings. Yes, I have not read The Lord of the Rings. I read The Fellowship of the Ring last year, and I'm sorry if this is blasphemous to you, but I didn't really like it. I didn't love The Fellowship of the Ring. It just read like a bunch of people walking and walking and walking and walking. And I mean, I love Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil is like my favorite character ever. I thought he was hilarious and kooky and fun. But like, that was like the only part of the book that I enjoyed. And I know that this is a classic, and I know that like, if my goal is to put in my nerd homework and read the classic fantasy series, this is at the top of the list. And I know that I need to do it, so I'm going to do it. So I started the audiobook of The Two Towers a couple days ago. I'm like 8% into it. Again, it's just people walking around. They're just walking, and I don't know, but I'm going to read it. So if you have any words of encouragement, tell me to get through it. I will do it. I will do it, and then I'll watch the movies because I've also not seen the movies. But when I finish The Two Towers, like, I will have earned a little treat for putting in such hard work. And that little treat will be starting a new series. So, as a little treat, one of the main series that I'm looking forward to starting this year is the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb with The Assassin's Apprentice. I have heard so many great things about Robin Hobb, and that this world of Fitz and the Fool just totally consumes you and destroys you. And like, last year I read all of the Cosmere and it ripped my heart out, and I'm ready for my next series that will destroy me emotionally, and I think it's going to be this one. So this series follows Fitz, who in this first book is a young boy who is the bastard son of the king, and he grows up just in the shadow of the king and of the court, and he's raised by a stable master who trains him to be an assassin. And as he trains to be an assassin, he has to learn how to navigate the court and his magic that runs in his blood. It sounds great. I've heard that there's a lot of animals. I saw one review that was like, after this book, hug your dog, so I'm like kind of scared. But I've heard nothing but great things about Robin Hobb and the whole Robin Hobbiverse, so I will definitely be reading this whole trilogy this year. Hopefully I can get farther into the Fitz and the Fool series as a whole, but this is absolutely the top series that I'm the most excited about starting. Another series that I'm really looking forward to starting this year is my first true grimdark series, which is the First Law trilogy by Abercrombie. The series first piqued my interest when, late last year, I finished Iron Flame, and I was just so mad. I was so fed up with romantasy and just these, like, fantasy books that just were not satisfying, and which made me discover this series and to learn more about Abercrombie. I've heard that his stories are truly just a balance of really, really dark, gory battles, fighting, as well as, like, very funny kind of moments to balance that out. So I don't know too much about this series, but I am pretty sure that it follows a barbarian who's like down on his luck, and then a kind of haughty prince who has a lot of enemies. There is a former warrior turned torturer, and I'm pretty sure there's also a wizard that is followed. and they all come to a head there's like fencing in this world, general soldiering. I don't know. I could be completely wrong about what it's about, but I will tell you what it's about when I read it. So this next series that I'll be starting this year was a recent decision for me to start to read, and it was such a recent decision that I don't yet even own the first book of the series, and the series is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Yes, I have not read Aragon, which, I mean, like, I dare to call myself a fantasy fan, and I haven't finished The Lord of the Rings, and I haven't read Aragon. I also met Christopher Paolini very briefly at the Dragonsteel convention last fall. He signed a book. I have a book signed to Amanda from Christopher Paolini, and I haven't read any of his books, but I will fix that. Alright, so those are the main series that I will be getting farther into this year, finishing this year, and then starting this year. Again, there are plenty of other series that I really hope to be starting this year, but these ones are just at the top of my list. And so that way I can kind of keep my series grouped together in my brain, so that way the information doesn't fall out of my brain before I get farther into these series. So thank you so much for watching. I will make sure I keep you guys posted on my reading of all of these series and reading updates and reading vlogs, so make sure you follow along, and I'll see you guys soon for another video. Bye!